Morning, everybody. So I'm headed north, transporting Plato's body back to Maryland, where he'll be buried on the 6 acres at the organization's national headquarters. But I wanted to talk about a couple things. So I made a video yesterday explaining that we are now we have an access point directly to the Department of Interior and the U.S. Park Service, and we have a line that takes that to our American holding company. Because really the assets are to be moved into the Department of Interior through this organization and then put into holding for the holding company. And that's why we needed the vault, right? Someone asked me the other day, I was on a phone conference with our living trust trustee, and she had mentioned that they're starting to hear chatter about what's called the American People's Vault. That is the vault that will essentially replace the center vault for the Smithsonian, so that all the assets can be brought back in. So, on another note, in this conference conversation, and you guys got to remember something. As the administrator of the multi divisions of the origin of the Brotherhood and Tribulation, the American People, which is now has the American Republic Division, the American National Republic Division, our United Republic, APPT, which is the American People's Public Trust, the American People's Common Trust. So there's all these like different branches that are coming out of this one organization that was founded, and that's the organization that actually summoned the Army and Marine Corps last August. As that's happened and we've grown and we've expanded, and now we have treaties and stuff like that, and we have a trustee, and the Army has been. The U.S. Army Administration is the administrator of our living trust, which is where our oil and gas leases are held. So since all that's happened, we're getting more to the point of direct contact with the Judge Advocate Generals, which will assume jurisdiction over our civil courts, our probate courts, reactivating our territory courts, our continental courts. Because remember, you gotta have a court for each one of these jurisdictions. So Western Hemisphere, gotta have a court for America. From the North Pole to the South Pole, Western Hemisphere, Marine Corps. If you notice on the Marine Corps, the bird, ball, and chain, the ball is the Western Hemisphere. They are the mechanism of force in the Western Hemisphere, period. So, as you get to continental, or, American continent, American Continental Congress. As you get to the American territory, the territory laws of Florida, right? As you get to all this stuff and these treaties and how they were done, you have to have a court and a location for each one, okay? So that's what's happening, is that all this stuff is being reactivated that's been dormant for all these years, okay? There were 2 things that came up, and they were talking about accountability, about being self-accountable, all right? And this is with our trustee and other members that are in this and that are directly associated with the trustees, the designated trustee organization, or court, which is the U.S. Supreme Court Registered Heir Equity Court. That's in Canada. That's our trustee that's appointed to us on our living trust. So with that said, there was this discussion, and people were talking about you got to be self-accountable, and this is Christianity, and it's a Christian way, and America is a Christian nation, and stuff like that. And that is true. That is true. America fundamentally is a Christian nation because Christianity facilitates individual rights and liberty, an individual relationship with your understanding of creation and the laws of nature as you have come to educate yourself to understand those, and as you grow through your journey of life. That is true. That is absolutely true. That does not discount the works of Moses and the works of community organization and canon law. That's Moses, right? That does, and they've taken the Apocrypha out, which is, the philosophy, Plato and stuff were in the Apocrypha. They've taken all that out because they've streamlined the books to their needs. But we have to understand, as Americans, as American people, as the indigenous inhabitants, and as the inhabitants of the North American continent, the Christianity that is referring to from 1700 is not the pastor, pulpit preacher sitting on his lectern, talking on a stage. This is applied jurisprudence in law Christianity. That means that the church becomes a courthouse. That means that matters of common law are happening, in jurisprudence, are happening in the courthouse. The courthouse is the church. The churches are the courthouses for common law. The train stations are where your community meetings are supposed to take place, because that's the traveler stations or the bus stations. That's under transportation. Okay? So, the other thing, someone asked me, when this switch flips on, right, and all of a sudden the United States Marine Corps, United States Army, United States Space Force, United States Air Force, in their proper jurisdictions, alongside National Security Agency, military intelligence, CIA, and the Judge Advocate Generals for each branch, with Homeland Security Director, okay, are all in the same room, all on one council, coordinating and collaborating together for domestic law enforcement and mechanisms of national common defense with a C, because we're protecting the church. Okay, when all that happens and these warrants start going out, what is going to happen? How are the people going to respond? And my response was, we will probably see a 10% reduction in population due to suicide. Because when these people, these managers, these administrators, these HR directors, these commissioners, all these people find out that they are now on the hook for the shit they did, and they are all prosecutable, these people are cowards. They're like failures. They're not gonna, they wouldn't dare have to face judgment on behavior. It's just not gonna happen. These types of losers only have power when they've claimed in some entitled authority. When you put the hook into them and you're gonna drag them into the place where you're gonna peel the layers back, they can't handle that. They can do that to other people, but they cannot handle it to themselves. So, I predict, this is a prediction, it's my opinion, there will be a 10% reduction in the population of North American continent when they find out that they're going to answer for every decision that they've destroyed people's lives and stole their property, everything. That's my opinion. I figured I'd just say it. God bless. Godspeed.